want to talk about truth and beliefs and individuality, duality, as well as oneness, totality. I've been witnessing shares of truths, beliefs on two sides, on each side of polarized opposites being expressed. And in these shares, in order to validate or justify the concept, belief, ideology, there was a minimizing energy, an undercurrent, some subtle, some not so subtle, of shame. Shame for the opposing thought, the contrast. So it was a strategic manipulation, whether aware or not, and use of control. And honestly, an insecure approach. Because if you believe, truly believe, what you're speaking to is your truth, does it need to be justified? Does it need to be validated by minimizing and shaming another perspective? Now, you could be witnessing this in others, trying to stand in their truth, yet in maybe more of a passive-aggressive way of, I'm right, you're wrong, this doesn't work, you need this, right? I've been seeing a really interesting play around both sides of a concept. At first, I saw minimizing and shame of victim mindset or being stuck in victim energies, definitely minimizing and providing this undercurrent of shame around someone's current experience by dismissing and minimizing anyone maybe experiencing that separation or the pain from being victimized, and even just shaming being stuck in a limiting belief or mindset. It was not nurturing and inviting, it was minimizing and shameful. In order to point to the power of shifting your mindset, which there's truth there, right? However, how strong are you in your truth if you have to minimize and shame another's truth and current reality in order to point to what you believe or what you've experienced or what you hold as true? I've been seeing a lot, especially in the wellness world. Then, other side, not long after I experienced that, I saw the other side of the coin. It was minimizing and shaming, blaming the inner journey approach, the spiritual approach, the approach that someone might take to change their mindset, to rewire their beliefs. and that didn't work, and that that you weren't going to heal or get anywhere simply by doing your inner work, and that you needed to seek justice in the outer world and relations. And not that there's not some truth in the healing journey for that. However, to preface this belief in truth and to point to that healing journey that can happen outside of us, it first had to minimize and give this undercurrent of shame for that part of the journey, the inner work, right? It's almost this like, hang with me here, okay? It's almost this healing and this battle between oneness and separateness, right? One is like attacking, like, oh, that's your ego. You need to just transcend that, do your inner work. And then the other is that's totally bypassing, and you can't just be, toxic positivity, stuff like that. And the two sides are wanting to point to very helpful practices to support this journey of unfolding to authentic expression of the inner journey and the outer journey, as within, so without, as above, so below. Yet, in order to do so, it was felt that you had to shame and minimize the other experience in order to validify what experience you had or what you've seen. And it's not to say that you can't get stuck in the inner world journey and totally bypass coming to completion with something on the outer journey in the present moment relationships, nor is it to say that you can get totally stuck in a reoccurring pattern of victimization or victim mindset and perpetuate those thoughts and emotions and continue to perpetuate those experiences. It's an and, right? But what I want to point to here is this minimizer and shame narrative that comes up through speaking your truth or speaking a truth. And this can be inside and out, right? You may witness someone doing this, or you may witness your own thoughts or parts doing this. So if you can sink this in and follow me, you can work with this both inside and out, right? And you're watching for the minimizer. You're watching for that control-based approach, or that use of fear or shame or guilt or blame or manipulation to, I want to say, like, to even grandiosity, even to fluff feathers, or like, if you have to search for validation or justification of your belief outside of you, do you actually really believe it? Or is it just another insecurity to bring to your awareness to really root down? And do you really believe that? Can you stand in your belief without standing on top of someone else? Can you exist in your contrast with security? Because if you have a secure sense of self, you can stand in contrast, knowing that you're a beautiful part of the whole, and not need to impose yourself on someone else or lose yourself to someone else's opinion or expression or truth in their moment, right? We're standing all here in one plane of existence, yet holding different truth and experiences all simultaneously, and they all can appear in our reality, yet our experiences, even though we're standing in the same neutral canvas of creation, our experiences will be different.